Hello everyone, my name is Nathan, and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included Spaced Out DLC. In the previous episode we took care of our future water production by hooking up both of the geysers we have in the world. We also took care of a method in order to bring the liquid up to a certain temperature, and then we are bringing it down right here into our collection area. Now, according to the comment section, we figured out that I can run all the liquids through the decilinator. I don't even have to bypass the other liquids such as water and polluted water. It can go through here as well. This has several advantages. Apart from saving the power of a liquid filter and not having to take care of the salt water, we can just run everything through the desalinator. And as you can see here, if we run brine through it, it's actually going to heat up to 40 degrees, the liquid. And that is, of course, also going to heat up the desalinator itself. However, if you run cold water, for instance, through it, it is going to cool down again. Originally, I thought it is going to damage it, since the water sieve, for instance, takes damage if you run wrong liquids through it. At least that's what I've observed in the past. But that's not the same with the desalinator. Now, at the moment, we don't have any liquids to actually confirm that, but soon enough, we should be getting more of that stuff in the joint. So we will restructure this once again, and it's gonna be simple. All we have to do is make sure that the output of the desalinator goes through the water sieve. This might be using up a little bit more power. I'm not sure if the water sieve actually requires power. If you run normal water through it, that doesn't really do anything for it. But essentially it doesn't matter, since we saved the power for the filter, which is the same as for the water sieve. Wonderful. So I'm really glad about the comment section. You guys give me great tips to actually improve everything. Now, we will have to wait for a moment for this to actually stop. But yeah, considering this is heating up to 40 degrees, we definitely want other stuff in the joint than just the brine. It's going to be important to get the cooler polluted water in the joint as well, so our water generally doesn't heat up that much. Let me see. Maybe we just interrupt this by taking apart a pipe right here. I think that might work out, and then we can reconstruct this. There's not much we have to do. We just have to take apart the filter stuff and then bridge over here, potentially. Let me see. So liquid filter, you can go. We also take apart the power connection, and then in terms of piping, we don't need this anymore. And we also need to sever this connection that directly leads into the water pool. Great, so all we have to do is go directly into the desalinator and then go out here like so. That should be working out theoretically. Alright, so we can already go ahead and repair this connection. Wonderful. And there it is, all fixed up. Okay, so we got ourselves in trouble for basically nothing. Now, the production rate, of course, isn't going to be as fast. Even if you run polluted water through this, despite the fact it's not doing anything with it, it can only output 3.5 kilograms of fluid. Considering the fact we have plenty of time to actually take care of pumping this out, this doesn't really matter. We can live with 3.5 kilograms of production in these pipes. Now, we will definitely have to observe what this is actually going to do with our water. At the moment, it's already at 30 degrees. And of course, for certain tasks, that is not ideal, such as watering plants, for instance. We could think about lowering the requirements for this temperature sensor. So instead of 20 degrees, we could set it down to 10 degrees. In this case, we would get some cold water in the joint as well, maybe balancing the temperatures a little bit better. Anyways, what I really would like to see now is more production. We need to produce as many things as possible in our metal refinery in order to heat everything up and get that water flowing. Wonderful. Now that we basically took care of everything, we just have to wait for this geyser to actually activate. Well, 43 cycles still. Okay, it's gonna take a while, but that is gonna give us the opportunity to keep going with digging up all of the terrain, which is an important task as well. I also would like to get the bad gases out of the way. They are slowly but surely going down to their own respective layers. For instance, the chlorine is collecting right on top of the carbon dioxide here. We are now also producing more plastics, and you have pointed out that once we have reached the limits of this pressure plate, every time a duplicant steps on it, it's actually going to deactivate the polymer presses. However, I don't believe that is a particularly strong mistake, since it's only going to be for a brief second, and the only things that are affected are these two polymer presses that work automatically anyways, right? Another automation I would like to add is to this oil refinery. At the moment, every time we use up a little bit of petroleum to use plastics, somebody is gonna come along and top it off with the oil refinery. Now that It really doesn't make sense. Just, you know, we use up a tiny amount and then we produce a tiny amount. I don't really like that. So I think what we are gonna do instead is we are gonna hook this up differently and maybe automate this. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but if we actually route this through all of the outputs, then the previous output is always gonna be stuck until one of the reservoirs is actually empty. This theoretically means I should be able to hook it up this way, and it's gonna use up the first liquid reservoir first, and then once that is empty, it's gonna use up the next, and so on and so forth. Now, I could be wrong about this, but I think we have to test it out. Yeah, let me actually... how do we do this without spilling too much? We don't have too much water here yet. I guess we are just gonna mop things up afterwards, right? Or maybe we use the plumbing method? Wait a second, we might not even have to do this. Oh no, now I have a connection here that I don't really want. Man, I wish I had the pliers mod. This should really be in the base game. I'm not sure what they were thinking. So if I see this correctly, most of these liquid reservoirs are gonna be used up evenly. So we just take the signal of the first reservoir that is probably gonna empty out the quickest, and we're gonna say the high threshold is 100% and the low threshold is going to be maybe 60% or so. That means it sends a green signal when the reservoir is less than 60% full, and it's gonna send that green signal until it is 100% full. So all we have to do is hook up the automation slot. So we're gonna simply do something like that, hook that up to the refinery, and the refinery should be shutting off until my reservoirs are at around 60%, or at least the last reservoir. This way we don't even have to redo the entirety of the piping. Now, obviously, I'm gonna need a place for my petroleum to go. That sucks a little bit. I think I'm gonna use that one here. We're also gonna do, yeah, crude oil. We're gonna do, what else? Yeah, let's just do petroleum, and yeah, that's basically it. I guess until that is done, we have to disable the oil refinery so they build those cables. Yeah, look at that. Soon enough, we are already at 18.6 degrees. I like that. I mean, we're not yet doing too badly with the water, even though we are now sending it to the other world as well. But since we have only one oil well in the other world active, it's not using that much water. Okay, there we go. That should now send a red signal. Wonderful, which means we can enable this building again, and they are not going to work on the oil refinery until this first reservoir is actually considerably empty, at 60%. We can also see the weight plate already reached the weight limit, which means the polymer presses have stopped working until we use some of that plastic. Now, we just saw this weight plate activate for a brief moment when the duplicate stood on it. That is curious, since more weight should theoretically still send out the same signal. I kind of want to test that. Ruby, please come here. I want you to step on that weight plate. Okay, that is curious. It's just a brief moment. Yeah, maybe that is gonna go on my nerves in the future, but I think for now I do not mind too much. We are at 19 degrees. Are we crafting steel again? Yeah, let's set this to another 20 crafts or so, and we bump this up here as well to, wait. Copper to 40 crafts. We apparently have used up all of the aluminium. Gold is going to be important in the future, I think. We might want to start setting up a landing pad on the third world. I think that would really help. Now, looking at the third world, I might not even want to set up an environment for duplicants to be in, since we really only want to collect materials from this, right? There's nothing else we want to set up permanently that requires duplicant work. Actually, maybe we do. We need at least an infrastructure for duplicants to survive a little bit, right? I guess in the beginning we could live off algae. That might be a possibility, though there's not too much of it in the world. Yeah, I think what we have to do is send another rover that is going to take care of the first portion. So we at least need an opportunity to set up shop, maybe get one toilet sink and bed in the joint. But then again, we somehow have to make sure that we get a liquid lock as well and take care of everything. What about coal? We have plenty of coal in the joint, so theoretically we could just go ahead and hook up this coal generator with the batteries. That is going to provide us with the necessary power. What we might be able to do is either send Ari or Ashcan over to the other world. I'm tempted to send Ari, since I'm really fond of Ashcan, doing a great job in my world. We might have to skill scrub him and only give him the rocket piloting skill, and then we take a trailblazing module and bring him actually down here in order to set up a landing pad. I actually might need 2 pilots in order to accomplish that, otherwise how is the rocket gonna fly back? Well, I guess we have to check that. Trailblazing, did I not research that yet? Trailblazer module, yes indeed I did not. Can hold 1 duplicant traveler. Deployment is available while in a star map hex adjacent to a planetoid. Intriguing, so we might want to do that, you know, get a trailblazing module in the joint instead of this cargo module, or, you know, just in between, and then we send a crew, a pilot specifically, into the nose cone, and then the duplicant we want to send down in the trailblazer module. Yes, I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Did I already fill this up with some carbon dioxide? 1,000 grams, that is not going to be enough. Let's go ahead and actually feed this a little bit. Ooh. This is getting cold again, so maybe it's not the worst of ideas to actually start filling up the rocket at this point. We just need 100 kilograms, so not actually too much. So I guess at this point we can already shut this down, should be good, and the rocket should be full. Okay, let's wait for the research. In the meantime, I actually don't want to miss the moment. Yeah, we are at 20 degrees, so all of my brine is now going down, and we should be able to pick this right up. Wonderful, I really like where this is going, except for the temperature of the water, of course. That is going to be an issue we have to solve. But as soon as we got rid of the brine and take most of the polluted water, we should be able to even that out a little bit. And as I said, we still have the option to set the sensor to 15 degrees, for instance, instead of 20 degrees. Now, actually, before I send a duplicant up there, we might want to do another rover module. I think I'm gonna do that. Let's build it out of iron. Anyways, we're gonna use that rover in order to do the final preparation so a duplicant can come in and build some basic things, right? We also want them to survive and get to their oxygen as soon as possible. To be honest, a little bit of an infrastructure wouldn't be too bad, but I don't want to send 3 duplicants on this planetoid right off the bat because it's gonna be hard to supply them with the necessary oxygen. In the beginning, we will be dependent on the algae, and I don't think there is a replenishable source of water in this case either. Yeah, that is going to be a huge problem, so maybe we do have to prepare this world for a regular transfer of oxygen, so we bring fresh oxygen with the rockets, or at least we need to bring a little bit of water in order to produce the oxygen. But either way, that's going to require lots of preparation work. Research completed, wonderful. Did we complete the thingamabob here as well? No, rover module, can you please take care of that? That would be great. Nobody can be bothered at the moment. I guess we have to speed this along a little bit. Ashcan, I knew I could count on you. He's just taking care of everything. There we go, even if it costs him his last breath. Oh, no, actually, he gets his oxygen from the nose cone. That reminds me, yeah, we still have an outhouse here. We should have enough oxygen. Actually, not quite. Yeah, we need to reactivate the algae terrarium in order to get more oxygen in the joint. They breathed it all away. And there it is, the rover module installed. Wonderful. And now we just want to wait for some oxygen to accumulate before we actually send another pilot over there. Now, I believe at this point we might be able to make this collection area a little bit smaller. So we just go ahead and close this off. This should be enough theoretically, giving us some more building space for other important tasks. Of course, there's another thing I totally messed up. We don't need that anymore. However, we need to take care of our chlorine. Since we used up all of the polluted dirt, I think what I'm gonna do is store the chlorine in here instead. Bleach stone, that's what we want, and it's already priority 9. It's sweep only, is it? Yeah, so we don't want this to be sweep only anymore, and we want this to be empty, so people come, grab that bleach stone as soon as possible and bring it over. Yes, we want to store it below water in order for it not to off-gas. Okay, let's get some of these gases out of here just by setting up a bunch of airflow tiles. Speaking of airflow tiles, we should be able to replace those as well. One thing I wonder is, how would you get the carbon dioxide out of here? And is there a more convenient way to fill this up with oxygen? Can we, like, hook it up, for instance? I mean, there's no physical port, but it would be really nice to have other means of filling up the nose cone. Anyways, I think this should be enough oxygen for at least one trip, so we are going to assign a crew to this. Crew. What did we assign? Well, we might first want to change the destination. We're going to this hexagon right there. Then we want to change crew. I think I'm gonna send Ari over. And we want to swap this to crew. The rover is already in place. All we have to do is bring this over. Yeah, should all be good now. There we go. Ari is in place, which means we can go ahead and launch this bad boy. 3, 2, 1, blast off. There we go. Now, I really wonder... okay. It does actually heat up the tiles a little bit, but it's by far not as bad as in the base game. At the moment, we actually keep a steady level of water. That is not too bad. I wonder if people are still using the sludge press here. Did we use up all of the mud? Yeah, almost, actually. Not good, not good. Maybe it will be worth setting up another grub farm. Anyways, that was another thing I wanted to do. I wanted to move my farms all the way over here. So actually exchange all of these tiles with farm tiles. Or at least the ones with the grub, since they make it way more efficient. And then another tip you gave me is not to actually crack up the grub eggs. Instead, we should just bring them over here. And then once we have more grubs hatched, we can kill them off for meat, since they give a lot of meat for barbecue. Which apparently is better than just cracking up the eggs. So maybe that's another thing we should do. Grub eggs, I don't want you to be cracked up anymore. And I guess what we could do for now is add a automatic dispenser here, bring the eggs that are extra over here. There we go, that's in place. Critter egg, we want grub, and we only want them once I sweep everything. Otherwise, they're just gonna bring it over and over again. We also want to set this to priority 6, so it is lower than the priorities for our incubators. And then if we go ahead and actually sweep up the eggs, we should be fine. Are they cramped? They're still cramped a little bit. Oh, I wonder if that is because of the egg. So as soon as we bring this egg away, are they? Yeah, they're not cramped anymore. Good stuff. So now that egg can just hatch like all the other eggs, and we are gonna kill them off as soon as we can. In the meantime, Ari is doing his thing. Let's have a look at the star map. Yeah, we are actually already there. Hold the phone. I forgot what I have to do in order to release the robot. That is not good. Probably on the star map. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. So, rover deploy. Yes. And we're gonna deploy you right here next to your body. And then the rocket should go back to our planetoid. So you want to fly directly back. Okay, I think that worked out. Beautiful. Rover is in place. Actually, I'm not sure what all we can build with the robot, but what I do know is we need a way for duplicants to arrive here and then go directly into a space where they can at least breathe and poop and stuff like that. So if we make them go down here, for instance, we then need to set up a liquid lock in some way or the other. And I think we're just going to utilize the water in order to do that. And then we also need access to algae. Yeah, they can theoretically walk a little bit over here. We have enough water to survive at least a little bit. So I think what I'm tempted to do is set up a liquid lock somewhere here. So let's make sure this is actually high enough. We're gonna do something like that. And it's gonna be a little bit of a different type of liquid lock. Actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be. We don't necessarily have to build it this deep. Yeah, let's do something like that. Make sure this is closed off, and then we need to fill this up somehow. So this needs to be free, and then we just take a little bit of the upper portion of this pool in order to fill this up. So we're gonna have to remove all of that. I think that should still be reachable. And then once we've built this, then we can fill this up. Good stuff. And we do something like that and that. Okay, let's try to get this built. Actually, we don't even need that. Yes, my robot is going to work right away. For the time being, I just want one duplicant to be able to survive here. Oh, another problem might be the food. How do we get them food? Like, there are no cracks in the wall and we only have 4,500 kilocalories. Yeah, we might have to live off critters. I mean, if we just have to support one duplicant, it's not going to be that bad. Or maybe just a little farm, I don't know yet. The rocket actually landed and Ari is taking a nap here. He is going to die if we leave him in here. That's not good. So let's make sure we set this to all again. And he hopefully is going to leave before he dies. Yeah. In the meantime, I want to keep observing my robot. Want to make sure he does what he's supposed to do. And of course, we want to make the best use of his battery life. Geez, he's not the quickest, that is for sure. I'm gonna leave all the critters hanging around, so until we have set up maybe a farm for this world in order to support our duplicant, we at least have access to the barbecue and everything. He's definitely taking his sweet time for everything. Okay, let's get the basics going. In the beginning, I don't care how it's set up. I just want a duplicant to survive in here. We might want to set up a atmosuit station. Otherwise, I will not be able to completely explore this planet. Well, we have it explored, but we also need a way to start working on everything, right? So yeah, in the future that is definitely going to be a problem. Also, we don't necessarily want slime lung in the joint, no sir. So I'm gonna make sure I don't actually dig this up. Maybe we don't even get too close to it. This is also a little bit of a bummer. I did not focus on that. You know, maybe we don't do it up here, but we build a ladder downwards and then we wanna close this off and make this large enough so it can be a room. This could be our bedroom for the beginning. Furniture, cot, you want to go right there, I guess. And then we could keep on digging, though we cannot dig up the abyssalite. No, that means we need someone who is actually versatile at everything, or at least good at building and digging. So many problems. Okay, in this case, I'm actually gonna do it the other way around. So we are gonna dig towards the other side here and encase this. That should be good. This way I should be able to set something up. So that means all of this can go, and we wanna set up the bedroom right there. I mean, do we wanna make it the bedroom? Maybe it's not the worst of ideas for the morale boost, right? And then maybe, just maybe, we can set up another room here. No, I cannot dig up the abyssalite. We would have to set it up like so. And I want to collect a little bit of water in this room. So eventually we're gonna dig up here and collect all of the water so that we can have a proper setup for our pitcher pump. The pitcher pump could go right here. I think that's fine. And no. That means we can set up the ceiling in this place. Okay, I think that is not a bad idea. That is also enough work for my robot. This also means we don't want this ladder in place anymore. We want to basically cut this off from the rest. And that means if we get out of the base here, I also might want to close this off. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Gonna have an outhouse here and then a wash basin right there. Yeah, I'm gonna restructure everything anyways once we have a duplicant on board. This is just going to be for basic survival. However, I still want to make sure this is actually a proper room, so we're gonna set this up with a bunch of pneumatic doors and everything. And then right here what we could do is set up a bunch of farm tiles. Now, duplicant operation rig. Okay, so only a duplicant can actually build this. That is no problem. As a matter of fact, let's bring this one block down. I think in this case it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, now there are certain things I want to stress. For instance, we want to close this off right away. This should all be contained, so close this off right away. And after that we should be able to open up this spot. This should already be enough liquid to complete the liquid lock. So now we're gonna go ahead and open this up right away. Wonderful. Give me a little bit of liquid, and that is the liquid lock already completed. Hopefully it's not gonna leak forever, but I think that was actually pretty smooth. And now my robot can just build the rest of the stuff, and we need a duplicant in order to take care of that. So maybe we take the robot in order to fill up this area here as well with the water. So that means eventually maybe in this spot I would also like to have a ladder in order to get up there. We can also see we're digging up some oxalite, which means we have some initial oxygen in the joint as well. We might want to do the same thing here, so just take apart this tile and let this get us some oxygen. At the moment it's just polluted oxygen and not much of it. Wonderful, you're doing exactly what I wanted you to do. Close this off. You know what, we're probably gonna live off of mealwood in the beginning. I mean, this should be enough food for one duplicant. So the only thing we will have to take care of is a safe storage for that food. Actually, that makes me wonder if we should prepare this already. So if we do something like that, that should be good enough in order to collect some carbon dioxide. We can set up a ration box right here, and eventually this is going to be sterile. So we are going to do this instead. So let's go ahead and maybe speed this up a little bit, and we will have to take apart this wall again. Yeah. The liquid lock actually turned out perfectly. That is wonderful. Good to know. So the rest of the water can drop down in here in my collection area. And as far as I know, the mealwood only requires dirt and not water. I might be wrong about that though. Okay, looking good. I mean, this is still gonna take for a little while. I'm not sure if I should observe this guy, but we still have plenty of juice. Well, actually, we're getting closer to the 50% mark. I still want to make sure we can finish those preparations properly today. Bathroom is in place. Let's set the direction. I'm more and more confident we can do this now. You know what? We might save a little bit on space if we set out the bedroom right here instead. I think that makes more sense. Give me a cot, please. Thank you. And we're actually gonna remove this since the farm room doesn't really require to be isolated and everything. We released some oxalite. That is good. This can just pump away, give us our initial oxygen that we require. Uh-oh. I think, yeah, we have somebody trapped again. Ah, man, what did you do? Ashcan, how do you guys always get into these situations, man? Okay, let's see. We have some sandstone here. That means if we build ladders out of sandstone like so, and like hurry this up, we should be able to save him right away. Good stuff. Let me get back to my robot. Wait a second. One more thing we have to consider is how to get the atmosuit in the joint. Yeah, we might need a little bit more space here. What if we just build everything one block over? I mean, that should theoretically work. There we go. Said and done. Now we have the space for at least one atmosuit in the beginning, should we need it. Robot is at 60 kilojoules, not very reassuring, but we're almost done here. As you can see, I left this open, this spot, so we can consume the oxalite, and it was totally worth it. We now have good breathability. But yeah, maintaining this third planetoid is gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt, so I don't want to invite too many duplicants. We want to automate as much as possible on this one. I want to make sure we use the last of the robot juices in order to finish the cot area, and then we also want to open this up, and then he basically fulfilled his job. There we go, cot is in place, and we want to open up this little piece here as well. Then we are done. Wonderful. Okay, everything ready for a duplicant to invite. I want to make sure the robot goes up here to the top and actually goes dormant right there, since I'm not sure you can actually remove them in the end. But there we go. Now he's just gonna stay there until his juices are gone. Okay, great. I think this is a good preparation for our duplicants to come here. I'm gonna look forward to do that in the near future. But with that out of the way, we are gonna wrap up today's episode. Is this now finally active? Still 31 cycles. Holy cow, this is just taking forever. How is my water looking? Yeah, we're actually gaining water. However, it is pretty hot at this point. You can see we're actually running into a little bit of issues in terms of being able to process everything. So maybe it might be worth setting up a second decilinator, at least in the future. I mean, this is requiring 480 watts, which is not cheap, I have to admit, not cheap. But yeah, there we go. With that out of the way, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to support the video as usual. Have a great time, and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.